Okay, I think we should start now. Yeah. So good evening all. Once again, a very warm welcome. We are delighted and privileged that Sri Ashok Panjwani is with us for the Productivity Tea Talk. I am Debashish Majumdar, your host for today's talk show. A very brief background about Mr. Panjwani. Mr. Ashok Panjwani has over 49 years of rich industrial experience working with reputed chemical and agrochemical companies like Gharda Chemicals. Presently, he is serving UPL Limited as Executive Director. As Director, Mr. Ashok Panjwani is heading various environment and consultancy companies pan-India, namely BIL Infrastructure Limited, Enviro Technology Limited, Kerala Enviro Infrastructure Limited, Shivalik Solid Waste Management, BIL Research and Consultancy Limited, and Gharpur Engineering and Construction Limited. Mr. Ashok is also Director of Narmada Clean Tech. He is also associated with many NGOs. He is President of Jagadia Industries Association. He is Vice Chairman of Ankleshwar Rotary Education Society. He has been associated with FICCI, CII. He is past President of Bharuch District Management Association. He is past Chairman of Ankleshwar Environmental Preservation Society also. He is also into academics. His dream project has been on SRICT, which is Shroff SR Rotary Institute of Chemical Technology at Ankleshwar. It is promoted by Rotary Club of Ankleshwar, UPL Limited, and other industries. He is Vice Chairman of SRICT. This institute has started functioning in the month of July 2011 and has made remarkable progress in the last 10 years. The institution is now converted to private university, namely UPL University of Sustainable Technology. Mr. Panjwani is President of UPL University of Sustainable Technology. Mr. Panjwani is also an active Rotarian and has held many positions at Rotary Club of Ankleshwar, Rotary International District 3060. Presently, he has been appointed as member of International Environmental Committee of the Rotary Foundation for 3 years from July 2021. So let's get started. So Panjwani sir, the first question that comes to you is that, can you please tell your journey in Gharda, UPL, BIL, and some instances where you took decisions which helped the organization? Sir, you are on mute. Yeah, sir, unmute yourself. Yeah.
Devashish, you have to make him co-host actually.
Yeah. Now it's okay.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Devashish, for a generous introduction. Let me tell you my journey and how it helped. When I was studying, I never knew that I want to be chemical engineer, but suddenly when I was in 11th or 12th inter science, I thought, I should become chemical engineer. Somehow this interest came because of chemistry and some part of engineering. And I was lucky to get in the base institute called UDCT at that time, now Institute of Chemical Technology, Mumbai, among the last 10% because it was very competitive. I just managed to get in. And when I passed out, I was among the top 10, so I was struggling, working hard and trying to see that I keep on improving. When I passed out, first option was to go abroad, which was a trend at that time. but being from middle class family and the financial constraints, I had no option but to go for a job. So there are 3 offers came to me, campus interview. One was from Baba Atomic Research Center, second was on Garda Chemicals, and third one was from Polyplast chemical plastic company in Mumbai. Obviously, people would have preferred to go to BRC, but I thought Garda Chemicals, it was a new company, just started 4 years back, but I had heard about Dr. Garda, so I joined Garda Chemicals. Without knowing what is Garda Chemicals and what is the chemical industry, I just joined. They took me in production, after a lot of interviews, but something happened, the medical test or something, they found me underweight.
Bluetooth check है नहीं?
They found me underweight and put me in the design. I think that was the change of my path. If I would have gone in production, maybe the life would have been totally different. Advantage of being underweight was there that I went to the design, then I did designs projects. Garda Chemical, the advantage was working directly with Dr. Garda. Of course, there was my immediate boss who was 4 years elder than me, but very competent chemical engineer. Could learn the real chemical engineering under Dr. Garda and Mr. Vyas. The plant was designed with all permutation combination. No engineer can get such training. You design a plant for 500 tons and they will say, why not 300 tons? Why not 1,000 tons? Layout, make layout, keep on changing layout, keep on changing master plans. That was the real training which I got through. And then I had an advantage of working on a greenfield project at Ankleshwar, subsidiary company of Garda Chemicals. I was involved in selection of land and designing the plant and all that. And they asked me, why don't you shift to Ankleshwar? It was again a hard decision. Shifted to Ankleshwar in 1984. If I would not have shifted, again, it would have been I would have been in a different direction, somewhere else. But that was a historic thing that it came to Ankleshwar. And in 1989, I joined UPL at Ankleshwar. That time, UPL also was quite a young company. Started again in somewhere in 68. There was a plant in Vapi, but I was involved in Ankleshwar. Turnover was around 100 crores. And today's turnover is more than 38,000 crores. A lot of things have happened. When I joined, I was given responsibility of starting a continuous plant, trimethyl phosphide, TMP. The technology was from USA. My first experience for a continuous plant, and I was sent to USA to see the plant and see how they operated. I went there, an operator, who was not an engineer, but the way he taught me, the way he gave all clues, heads off to him, and I wish if our people also train our people like that, anybody can understand. And with that knowledge, I came back, the plant was designed, we pressed the button without knowing what will come out. Initially, there were a lot of teething problems, but we learned how to manage and we could succeed. Mr. Jay Shroff, who is the son of Rajubhai Shroff and Sandra Shroff, had just joined the business, and I had the privilege of going with him to UK, East Germany, and all that. And what you do after evening, So we were discussing, and he was just new and asking what we should do. And during those night hours, we made a corporate plan for UPL. At that time, it was called United Phosphorus. What we'll do in next 5 years. And then we religiously started following up. The Ankleshwar Unit 1 started expanding. Then we started Greenfield project at Unit 2, Unit 3, all in Ankleshwar. Then in Jagadia, I did Halol, all in within a span of 7-8 years, and that was a good learning for me. And I don't want to claim the credit of what happened, but I was a key player in that. And we had a good team, good engineers, good chemists, relatively new team, but we could come out with number of things, and we started moving in a right direction. Somewhere in 2000, when we had put a plant in Jagadia, the power plant was giving a lot of problem because it was designed on naphtha, plus it was a caustic chlorine plant. Again, there was a demand of market and supply issues. That unit was making loss, so I was asked whether I can take over the responsibility to make it viable. I went there to Jagadia full time as a full-time director, and instead of naphtha, we brought gas. We took a lot of decisions, even though money was not in our pocket. A lot of decisions were taken. I was working along with Mrs. Sandra Shroff, my again a mentor after Dr. Gerda. I learned a lot of things from her. We went to Houston, taking decisions in millions of dollars and all that. And luckily, by 2002, we could convert that loss-making unit into a profitable. And after that, UPL never looked back. They've been working, acquiring company, doing a lot of things. During this time, somewhere in 95, 96, I realized that there's a problem of environment, and the request came from small-scale industries. Why can't UPL take a leadership for providing common effluent treatment plant? So the company was promoted, Enviro Technology Limited, where I was totally involved. Later on, for hazardous waste, similar requests came. So we have promoted somewhere in 98, BIL Infrastructure Limited. For landfill, let me tell you very honestly, our knowledge or my knowledge was limited, but we all were moving in AKMAS, Germany, going to UK, learning something, What was landfill, to be very honest, was not known to us, but we jumped in. And with our technical background, chemical engineering, supported by civil engineers, mechanical engineers, somehow we have succeeded. And then, my passion became environment, and started working more on environmental companies. It came out practically from UPL's day-to-day things. And we started in facilities in Kerala, Himachal Pradesh, and also number of projects we have been putting up all over country for all industrial waste as well as domestic waste. Now, all along with that, number of things happened. I'm sure we'll cover it in the further question, but journey has been quite good, and somehow the things have happened which have put me in a direction which I was looking for, and lucky to be with you to share some of the success stories. Thank you, Devas.
Thank you. Thank you, Majoni sir. That was not only inspiring, interesting, but also you were part of some very critical and big decisions. I think that is something which we learned here. My next question is, can you please share some productivity traits which you have imbibed as a leader, which helped you in your professional journey?
Well, I don't know whether I should call myself as a leader, but normally I follow my subordinates. They are my bosses. But they, when I read that book, You Can Win, of Shiv Khera. After that day, I also heard him somewhere. The positive thinking has become gone in my blood. I have been reading more and trying to understand. I believe that if you are a positive, you can be a different man. If you've got a negative feeling, you will always be not well, feel sick. But if you're always positive, that helps you. The second thing, you have to believe in yourself. If you are saying something, you want to do it, we wanted to make a loss-making unit viable. Now, if you don't believe it, it will never happen. You can keep on blaming, but you should start believing as a leader. Then only things will happen. And then you have a team. You see that your team believes in that, and give a freedom to your team. And tell them very clearly that if something will go wrong, I'm sitting there. Don't worry, I will take the blame. But if things go well, you will take credit. So that motto, that principle has always helped me. And you should be very clear on what you want. The goals should be clear, should not be confusing. Try to get the decisions from bottom to top rather than try to put force on top to bottom. And another thing, which I've learned, to be very honest, when I started getting involved in SRICT, when I started talking to students, I found, and I started talking to them one-to-one. Something different thing. There was a different purpose, which I can tell you a bit later. But I learned that the young generation is full of ideas. If you see a car, the car of 1950s and car of 2000 or 2010 model, everything, is a new improvement. So I realized that, every year if you see a new batch, they are different. They are more, like, new model of iPhone, every year is different. So working with young people, you can solve a lot of problems, but you can't forget the experienced people. They are equally important. Right. So if you try to mix up experienced people along with young people, try to make a good combination. I've seen that in last 5-6 years, we have got very excellent results. The combination of experienced people and combined with the multiple of young people. Everybody may not come out, but at least 3 or 4 out of 10 are coming and becoming bright engineers, bright, successful, and those ideas are clicking. That's what is I've been trying to work. But every day I'm learning something new. So there's no end to that.
That is very good to hear from somebody who has nearly 5 decades of experience. Every day you are learning. That's great. And so, sir, what would a senior leader look for in his peers, juniors, or maybe even high potentials? Like organizations do earmark individuals as high potentials. How would they be sort of handled and groomed to be leaders?
To make them leaders, sometimes you've got quite senior people also. But, if you are leading them, as a hierarchy, you should be very clear that what is expected, what we want to do in next 3 years, 5 years. And that goal should be clear, your vision, mission, everything should be clear, And your team, people also equally should be committed. There's no point in one person getting committed and others not, So see that all your people are committed, and I believe in delegating people. Once we have agreed to what we want to do, just delegate to them and give them a comfort, give them a time to come out with the results. 9 out of 10 come out with results. Also believe that there are going to be threats, there are going to be mistakes. So every threat is an opportunity. If you accept that, then life becomes very easy. It may be because of market pressure, or maybe because of some accident, or it may be, act of God. Any threat comes, you consider it an opportunity and try to find the way out, how to improve further. And we are bound to make mistakes. You can't, succeed if you think that you will not make mistakes. So 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10, you have to be mentally ready that people will make mistakes. And those mistakes again is a learning point. You have to learn from those mistakes so that it doesn't repeat again. And that, if you do that, then it becomes more easy for anyone to improve further. That's what is a right way of working it. And that's what I'm expecting from my people. Everyone should work hard. I work 16 hours, even 18 hours sometimes. So I expect people to work hard, but we believe in family life. Not that, they should sit with family, but when the situation demands, you have to be on job. People should come out with new ideas. People should be innovative. We don't want to, find new molecules, but the small improvements, small new ideas are important. People should be ready to take risks and learn from mistakes. And more important, the senior leaders should be ready to train the young generation. They should see that their number two is ready. Some people are threatened that what will happen to me, but I believe that they can go up if they have the second line, third line ready. So that's what is happening in the people under me. Thank you.
Okay, okay. So you, in your career, you have also, as mentioned, you worked with NGOs, you have built educational institutes. You just mentioned you worked 16 to 18 hours also. How did you manage the balanced wheel of life?
Well, I come to the home normal time, 6 o'clock, 6:30, go for a walk, talk to my family. I talk to, somehow we'll see that, all our children are connected and we keep on watching TV, I like some TV programs, but at that time my iPad is also on. So I keep on replying emails or, some paper, but I, able to balance both the things. So. But sometime, I take off for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, go to UK and enjoy with children. So we balance it out.
Okay, okay, yeah. So most organizations struggle to manage market side pressure versus operation side pressure. How did you manage both, or are there any instances which you can highlight?
Well, this is a part of the life, your marketing team will always find excuses and operation team will say that, blaming each other. But best ways to, understand both the issues from both sides, find the root cause problem, and then sit with them, let other side understand each other's problem. And that, once they understand each other's problem, then they come out with their own solutions to come out. And any marketing problem, if it is a threat, is an opportunity, any operational. So we have been able to manage somehow. We change our direction. The goal is same, but if highway is blocked, go through a bypass and try to reach it. So, but best thing is to put them together in a closed room and lock it from outside, and they will come out with a solution.
Okay, okay, yes, yes. Yes, I think participants, Mr. Panjwani is married to Meera, Mrs. Meera Panjwani. She is also an active social worker, past district chairman of Inner Wheel Club, and also past president of Rotary Club of Ankleshwar. So, Panjwani sir, what would be the role of Mrs. Meera and your family in your professional journey of nearly 5 decades?
Well, we got married in 1977. We had never met, it was just one meeting. Within 3 weeks, we got married. And, as I said, I was from middle class. I was introvert, and she's a bit more smarter than me, extrovert. So it was a good combination. She was working in State Bank of India in a good position. So we both worked together to see that, our first goal was to, get our own house in Ghatkopar because my father was going to retire. So she was fully supportive on that. She was, running around to get trained, buses and trains during those days, but very hardworking again. And when we decided to, when the offer came to come to Ankleshwar in 1984, coming from Bombay to a place like Ankleshwar, how hard this decision is. But she said, yes, if it is good for you, let's go. And she, when we have 2 daughters, one born in 78, another in 82. After that, she sacrificed her career, saying that, the first priority is children. She left the job and she came to Ankleshwar with me. And after that, she has never looked back. She has been, even though she is not working, but she is more active than me, to be very honest. She has been going to villages, meeting the families of our workers. She is now very actively involved in Nerville Rotary Club, holding very important post. And she has done her own, own projects. She's running a mobile education van project, going to 60 villages. She has her own project on women empowerment, which she's managing through the Rotary and other our trusts and other things we are involved. And whatever I'm doing, she keeps on supporting, and she's a full support. My elder daughter, Pinky, when she was said that I want to be like you, I want to be a chemical engineer. So she became chemical engineer. And then, I said that I could not complete my dream of going for higher studies. I could not become doctor. So you try for that. And she went, on her own merit. She got a scholarship from British Council. She went to Imperial College London, and she has done PhD and working at very senior level post in pharma companies, and now married to, Vivek, who's also professor in chemical engineering, and the family is full of now chemical engineers. The younger daughter is again, flying bird, we call. She is become interior designer, again doing good job. Her husband is again a very senior executive in multinational company. The best part is, Debashish, that I have a grandson, Aditya, now 10 years old. But, both of us are friends, the best friends, and we enjoy life, when we are together in holidays, I go to his level and try to learn him. And, his knowledge is much more than my knowledge in many things, And his dream is again to become chemical engineer, because her mother and father are chemical engineers. Grandfather is chemical engineer. So that is his dream. But, he's more, he understands more business than you and me. We designed the plants, in one of the vacation, we designed a plant that, we'd have a solar car. And then he worked out the project cost, he worked out the viability, just 8 or 10 years old, children. And coming out, he said, I'm a chairman of the company, you're a vice chairman. And then there's a way we enjoy our life. But, and the younger, I have a granddaughter, 4-year-old, growing up. But again, she's very bold and, very confident. And when you talk to them, you feel great. That's our family. And all credit to my wife, for not only sacrificing for her job, but she has put me in the right direction and supported me everywhere.
Again, very inspiring story. Sushil, do we pick up any questions from the chat? Sushil?
Yeah, Debashish, I have captured few questions.
Okay,
Sushil bhai, you have any questions, or shall I go ahead?
Go ahead if you have captured.
Yeah. So we have a question from Mr. Jayant Kamath. How is that even after very successful career, your behavior is very humble and courteous? Is it the legacy from IIT plus Garda culture? I think it's.
I think it is from my parents. My father and mother were very humble, and my father was working in a government office, but I'd seen him that very humble, very sober, and he always, worked for children and put us in right direction. So all credit to my parents. And of course, the Professor Sharma was my guru, M.M. Sharma. Then I said Dr. Garda, then I said Mrs. Shroff, and the whole Shroff family. I've been learning from them, and whatever qualities have come is, mostly from them.
Yeah.
But my subordinates may not agree. I may not be that humble to them. Sometimes I lose temper.
Sir, we have one question from Mr. Basavaradi, and this is a technical question. How can we develop new products with high price compared to competitors?
Can you repeat this question?
How can we develop new products with high price, even in the competitive market? How do we develop new products against the competitors actually?
See, you have to do your homework. You have to work out your process and work out your own cost and see what is the cost difference coming, and then do your homework. The cost comes either mainly because of raw material costs. So work on that process. Go back to laboratory. Keep on working on that. Reduce the chemical cost. And reduce your losses. Improve your yields. Work on your energy cost, manpower cost, and all that. And if somebody else is making, why can't you make it? So you can be competitive. And if you are clever, you can be cheaper than that. Dr. Gerda's strategy was that only that, I'll make a product which will be 20%, 30% cheaper than anybody else.
Yes.
That was his strategy. Same thing is UPL. They come out with a product which is much cheaper than the market rate.
Okay.
And if it is very competitive, why you want to jump in? You go for a product which is difficult to make, difficult to produce. Go for those things. Because even if you do it, somebody else will come and kill you.
Yes.
Everybody is smarter. No?
Yes.
Try to make something which is difficult to make produce, and then show your strength there.
Correct. Thank you, sir. We have one question from Mr. Deep Jyoti Kaushik. When there is a disagreement with your team, how do you handle the situation?
I think if I remember name correctly, she is working in one of my group companies.
Okay.
If there's a disagreement, Deep Jyoti, you have to understand both the sides. And I said that put them in a closed room, lock the door. They'll come out with the proper answer. Or if both of them are not hearing, sometime I will say that both of you resign and go back if you can't solve the problem instead of spoiling the company. That may be, sometime you have to do that also. If there's a cancer, do a surgery. If somebody is like that. But 99.99% problem gets solved if they sit down. The one point I've tried that, if you ask the other person to talk positive things about the other fellow, and similarly, other fellow talks of positive points of other fellow, if they start talking positive points of each other, then the, lot of issues are resolved there only.
Yes. Thank you, sir. And Mr. Ninad Jhala wants to know what drives you and motivates you at this age.
You ask same question to Narendra Modi, you consider him as a young, and appreciate him. Why are you? Age is not a bar, you become, you don't become, old or young by age, it depends on how your mind is working and whether if you keep on doing something new, you're always young, So it depends on how your mind is working. The other thing is that since I'm involved in Rotary and, university, college, I get a lot of, stress relief, when I was, somewhere in 91, before I actively joined Rotary, my blood pressure went up and I had some even heart issue. But the moment I became active, everything became all right. Because it gives you a different feeling, different word you work, and your stress goes down when you work on those things.
Yes. And sir, we have one question from Dr. Anand Krishnamurthy. This is on, you mentioned about, young hires actually who have a lot of energy. So the question is, most of the organizations, they recruit candidates from elite institutions only. So what is your experience? How do you, select the hires and the institutions when you have to hire new blood, especially?
Nowadays, I am the president of my own university, so I prefer to take my own children.
Okay.
But there's no bar on anybody. The demand we always take, and we believe that every student is good. And it doesn't depend on whether somebody is coming from IIT or ICT. That's if we, particularly in a place like Ankleshwar or Bharuch district, if you take somebody from IIT, he may not remain there, because they've got very high expectations. So you have to judge based on where the location is and whether the person is interested or not. So, but you should be open on that. Any candidate is good. Merit you should take.
Okay, so thank you very much, sir. And Mr. Vipul Ranpara has asked, what is the impact of diversity? I mean, say gender diversity or other diversity plays a role in organization culture and performance.
It plays a very important role. We have been trying to promote girls, UPL globally also, but in this waste management companies also now we have got, I think around 35, 40 young lady engineers working there, going to the plant and working. Unfortunately, because of these regulations, they cannot come in shifts, which need some correction, because when I went to China, you will see that girls operating plants even during night hours. So if that is relaxed, things will be much better. But our girls engineers are much better than anybody else, and they've been performing very well. Their touch or their knowledge is much more than anybody else. They, even in the performance-wise, college-wise, also we find that 80% of them, 90% of them are distinction holders, or getting 9 out of 10 or something. They are much better than normal boys. And I being a father of 2 girls, I can vouch for that.
Thank you.
But it will be good that the government wakes up and relaxes this evening night hours for the girls, so that industry-wise they can be more useful.
Yes.
Sometimes you feel bad that after marriage and all that they're not able to continue, but I think you can't help it. That's the way it is.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Mr. Manoj Kumar wants to know, who is your role model and mentor?
I have not thought about it, but role model is always as I said that my father is was a role model, always role model, because he was a person who was always giving, and then after that I said I learned Professor M.M. Sharma, combination of chemistry and chemical engineering, Dr. Garda, and now Mrs. Chandra Shroff. They are my role models.
Thank you, sir. And one last question, I think, because the other questions are maybe indirectly also answered. This is, and then maybe I'll switch it over to the buses. This is from Mr. Rajesh Panchal. What is your role in developing culture in UPL? Because he also says that he has also personally also experienced a good culture at UPL, organization culture.
When I joined, when I said it was a small unit in Ankleshwar, we had a phosphorus plant at that time, and when I took around, I found people sleeping, some of them even drinking, And I said, we want discipline. And he said that if you try to bring discipline, you'll be out of job, And I was just joined few days back, I talked to Mrs. Shroff, and she said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to take it a challenge, And he said there is a risk, if you take a challenge, you may fail. I said, if I fail, I'll get out of this job and go somewhere else. So we did our homework, and running phosphorus plant, yellow phosphorus plant was the furnace, and only skilled people can learn. So we did some homework, we trained our staff members at that time. And, I created a scene that by that the workers went on a strike, thinking that they're not going to run the plant. And there was a petrol pump just, across the road. They were sitting there and seeing whether the flame of that phosphorus plant is on or not. All our team, we had even brought some contract labor inside. And we all were there for more than 38 days running the plant. And finally, they gave up. And after that, the relations became good. And the message was very clear that, we mean business. There were no hard feelings, but things improved. This happened as soon as I joined, somewhere in 1990 or something.
Okay.
That was a good challenge, but 60% chance was that I may lose and I would have been somewhere else. But all those people, now they are all retired, but they are, whenever they meet me, they respect me, they love me. And they were really good people. And then I said, my wife played a major role. She was going to those villages, talking to their wives and saying that, why your husband want to drink? Why can't they stop their drinking? And that again helped, they understood and they started behaving, and then the story was different after that.
Okay. Sir, we have a question from Mr. Arnab Maji. What was your most difficult time in your career?
Somewhere in 2008, we had a big fire in our Radha Swiss site. It was like, blast, the tar, things like that. The whole, within few minutes, we were on national channels. There was a young lady collector. She, I could read there in 15-20 minutes. My whole team was there, and we went through a difficult time, but we learned a lot of things, and after that we made a lot of changes, and we never looked back. But it was those 2 days were most difficult period of my life. We learned a lot of things, and during that time I was also a district governor of Rotary. I was doing a multiple, the district governor of Rotary means you have to keep on going every year, and both the things happened together. But that was those 2-3 days were very difficult, and what happens when accident is there. So
we have one.
But that threat is also we converted in opportunity. We made a lot of changes. We made a lot of the government has appreciated. All the guidelines are based on whatever we learned from that, and things have changed.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Any other questions, Nirmalji?
Yeah. Okay. I was saying just one. The student was have questions, so I think we can take that as a last, and then you can take over.
Okay.
There is a student, Mr. Sanket Yadav. I think we have a lot of questions, but we'll not be able to cover because we have more than 400 participants in this forum. So I really appreciate that, and we'll see this how we can respond to these questions. But Sanket Yadav wants to. He's currently working with Aarti Industries Limited, and he wants to know what would be the key role of young chemical engineers in making sustainable environment and growth of society. So this would be the last question, sir, from my side.
Chemical engineers have to play a major role in sustainability. Sustainability means, climate change or your water consumption, energy consumption, the chemical engineers are the right people who understand this. So just focus on, to begin with, on your water consumption. If you can reduce your water consumption by 10%, 20%, energy consumption, or your, air pollution, water pollution, you can play a big role as a chemical engineer. And this is what if you are reading the newspaper, everybody is doing it, including UPL. We claim that we are the number one in agrochemical and sustainability now. The significant improvements have been done worldwide by UPL. Similarly, all companies like Aarti or Cadila as well, big units have been working on this, and the sustainability is going to be the key. And that's the reason if you know that SRICT has been converted to UPL University of Sustainability Technology, technology. And perhaps this is the first university in the world which is talking about sustainability. And people are talking of hydrogen, people are talking of energy, electrical vehicles or solar plants and the solar batteries and new type of batteries where you can store energy. A lot of things are happening. People don't want to, people want to capture carbon, and make products out of that is a big challenge to all of us, all chemical engineers, and how to make it viable. So chemical engineers have to play a very, very big role. And only thing, as young chemical engineers, please don't forget your basics. Many times you forget your basics. Don't forget. Keep your basics on your. If all knowledge is available on internet, and there will be huge demand of chemical engineers. Chemical engineers have to improve their, not only maths, chemistry, and physics, but they have to strengthen on biology and, biotechnology and nanotechnology and other things. So, sky is the limit for chemical engineering. That doesn't mean that, I find mechanical engineers and electrical engineers or environmental engineers are also equally competent. After 5 years or 10 years, you are just engineer, whatever branch you are, if you are thinking logical, if you know how to find information, every engineer is going to be useful.
Thank you, sir. Over to you, Debashish. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, again, thank you, I think. Again, great insights. Just I would like to mention, Anjwani sir is also a recipient of many awards. UAA Distinguished Alumnus Award, also Best Chief Executive Officer by South Gujarat Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr. BP Godrej Lifetime Achievement Award, and also he has received the Lifetime Contribution Award from PDPU, Gandhinagar. So, in your organization, you have introduced LMI, Leadership Management International's program, majorly effective personal productivity and also attitude is everything. You want to just highlight as to why did you do that and any impact of those programs from the slightly different programs, which is from the normal that is being done.
Yeah. See, I believe that, every CEO or, unit head has to be a good HR person. If you lose focus on training, your team will never get built up. Unfortunately, most of us depend on HR department for training. And we as a chief executives or the senior people think that is not my job to train, Now, that mindset has to change. Now, as a CEO or as a leader, you must go into deep. And there I find this LMI programs, you sent 5 or 6 people from our side for first productivity program, not only from our group companies or environment, but even from our college or university now. I found them, after they came back, full of energy and full of the how to work out their planning, how to make their goals successful with all those knowledges. which if you go to IIM, they are 10, 15 days program, but this program is equally good to, get that knowledge, and the people all are motivated. Then there's another program of attitude is everything, because I feel that, also the problem in our life is attitude, the ego and other issues which this program is covering, besides even goals they are covering. And, you get a good feedback when they go to that program. You find a lot of changes in them. And I've seen their presentations, after the program. So it's a dramatic change by such programs, Let me also, Deva, just tell you something about when you're talking about training. I've gone to IIM for a few programs, but the best training I got when I went to USA under, Rotary assignments. When you become a governor, they train you. When you become District Rotary Foundation coordinator, they trained me. And when I became endowment and the way they train you, it is, number one, time management, very punctual, and they tell you how to talk, how to present, how to tell your stories. Those type of trainings, they make you a totally different person. You may be a same human being, but once you come out of those programs, they make you a different kind of person. So trainings are very important, and we are looking for such programs, which people can absorb easily. People can find time from their busy schedules and respond. So LMI is, I think, quite useful in this aspect.
Great. Thank you, Panjwani sir. Maybe this would be one of the last questions. Paul J. Meyer, founder of LMI, said that productivity is never an accident. It is always the result of commitment to excellence, intelligent planning, and focus effort. What is your take on this quote? And do you believe this is what it is all about?
I do believe, but as I said, I believe in positive thinking, hardworking, and the allowing people to work and allowing them to make mistakes, because a person will be a good boss if he makes 2-3 mistakes. I don't mind people make mistakes. So, but I believe in that. But I think those things keep on changing every day. The life is changing. So all these new things would keep on changing. Tomorrow may be a different strategy. If you call me after 2 years, I may tell you something different. So we are all the students and learning. And
Sure.
my students, who are in this college, whom I have been interacting for last 10 years, they are my teachers. I learn from them. I sit with them, I give them targets, try to convince them that, why don't you score 10 out of 10 or 9.5 out of 10? And first reaction is, okay, difficult. Then I said, why not? Try your best. And they write down on a paper, sign it. And 90% they come out with those numbers and come along with their proud parents and take certificates and cash awards. The secret is that, in those meetings, I ask them, what are your difficulties? And a lot of things come out. The 80% problem you can solve on the spot, 20% you try to solve afterwards. But what is happening underground, you come to know from them, and they become your teachers. The real feedback comes when you talk one-to-one, and that's the way that's a part of training. They tell you a lot of things which you do not know, underground, overground, and you can change your strategies. You can start thinking differently. And same thing after learning from them, I started doing in businesses also. Talk to people to one-to-one, and you keep on getting new ideas. What they are thinking, what do they want to do, and they have their own difficulties. You solve those difficulties, and then they become committed. Plus, they show you new directions. So training is very important. We must all continuously go through training programs. Even under this now pandemic situation, I've been attending at least 2 or 3 webinars. Just to know more.
Sure. I think again that's inspiring and insightful also. Yeah. Nitalji, I think, do we have any further questions, or we take a group photo?
Yeah, I think.
E-group photo.
Yeah. I think we have a lot of questions, but I think we'll be short of time for at this time. So we'll maybe cover this at other opportunity. We can request every participant to switch on their camera so that we can screen record this particular thing for memory. And this is a great memory. We have overwhelming response. We have 500 plus registrations, and this has been phenomenal actually. We thank you everybody for your time, and also Ashok sir for your time and your inspirations.
I also thank, I was never imagining that 400 people will physically come and attend. So something, of course, the advantage of virtual program, but everybody is busy. So, thank you for coming and motivating me.
Welcome, sir. Yeah, Debashish ji, you can conclude and
Okay, so I think in closing comments, thank you all leaders for your questions, for your participation. And again, thank you, Panjwani sir, for sparing your valuable time and answering most of the questions. There are a lot of questions in the chat box, which we will take a call as to how do we answer that. And you have answered questions very patiently, very insightful, lot of learning, which we can also will take and will sort of imbibe also. Thank you all, and look forward to another session of the Productivity Talk Show soon. Thank you all.
thank you, Debashish. Thank you, sir, Ashok sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, bye.